Mud and Blood is a series of top-down wargames based around the idea of small squad tactics made by URB Games. Most people were introduced to the series via Mud and Blood 2, a flash game where you commanded a group of American soldiers during the Second World War with the task of defending a sector from constant German attacks. You could buy different units, buy new guns for said units, build defenses, and call in special supports, among other things. Its difficulty and replayability made it one of my absolute favorite browser games when I was younger, up there with the likes of Warfare 1917, 1066, and Stick War. The series began a little bit bizarre, with Mud and Blood 1 being an unfinished World War I game, Mud and Blood Vietnam, Mud and Blood Recon, a tower defense game, an unfinished sequel to Recon called Recondo, and there was even a fan-made game called Skirmish Line. Eventually the series hit its stride with Mud and Blood 2 and later Mud and Blood 3, a sequel that dropped the defense gameplay for an up-down scrolling squad tactics game, at least until Flash was discontinued in January of 2021. This forced a design shift from a browser game into a full-fledged Steam game running on its own unique engine. Welcome to Mud and Blood Steam, where you need to fight the entire Wehrmacht from Normandy to Berlin with a grand total of 6 men and a dream. If that sounds unfair, that's because it is, and it's supposed to be. The Mud and Blood campaign is not a game for the faint of heart or the casual gamer. The game is deliberately unfair, and oftentimes you will find yourself completely outmatched. You will need to do whatever you can to give yourself an advantage, because this game is a perpetual uphill battle. When you start the game, you will be given 6 soldiers who you get to control, with the objective of capturing a beach at Normandy. Click on a soldier and then click on the map to move them. If they stop moving and have a line of sight with the enemy, they will fire at them. As you fight and kill German soldiers, your men will get their first level up, and you'll be able to assign them with different roles. Leveling up after that will give you the choice of upgrading their combat skill, weapons, or giving them special skills. These roles will range from officers, who will passively raise the morale of your troops, medics, who although they suck at combat, will passively heal nearby friendlies, scouts, who have a longer spotting range than regular troops, and many other roles. As you play through the game and level up, you will also gain ribbons and special abilities that you can use. Ribbons provide small boosts to your troops, while call-in abilities provide you with armored support, artillery, and even air support. Personally, I have 2 big problems with the game. I already played through the game once, as far as I could get before quitting, but I tried again to gather footage for this review. But holy shit did I get shafted fast. D-Day was no issue. You're given a lot of friendly units to make it easy for you, so it's not a big problem at all. Mission 2 wasn't bad either. It was actually pretty easy and much less difficult than I expected. But Mission 3 and 4 were absolute nightmares. I had a miserable time trying to beat these. I was locked into the point where even though I'm supposed to be practicing for when I start streaming, I was saying absolutely nothing. I was just focusing on what was going on, paying attention to absolutely nothing else. To the point where I had to stop playing entirely and come back the next day to try again, and I did this for 4 days in a row. The difficulty for Mission 3 came from the mission modifiers. Not only was there an increased German presence on the map, but their damage was doubled. Mission 4 was difficult just due to the amount of bullshit I was stuck having to beat while also having no tools available to deal with it. That's when I realized why I disliked the game so much. 1. The game's difficulty had seemed to come out of nowhere and suddenly escalated without warning. And 2, my squad wasn't able to level up fast enough to counter the enemies. Let me explain. The game felt really easy for Mission 1 and 2, meaning that when I suddenly got to Mission 3 and I couldn't beat it at all, it was like hitting a brick wall, and completely took me by surprise. So my squad all died, and now I have to try again with a brand new squad of guys. The problem is that I ran into some sort of situation that my experienced soldiers couldn't handle. Now the problem isn't just gonna suddenly vanish. So, here's a question for you. How do you think my squad of brand new guys with bolt action rifles are going to handle the situation that my veteran troops couldn't deal with? The answer is not very well. Now, it is fair to say that it was my own fault for not withdrawing my troops once things went south, or that I should have pushed up to the difficult section, then purposely retreated to grind my troops' levels. Counterpoint, I forgot retreating was even an option until halfway through day 2. And also, statistically speaking, 99% of offensives give up right before they get a breakthrough. And when you're so close to the goal line, it's like right there. And all you need to do is beat 1 or 2 more hurdles so that you can win. You just really want to go for it. So you throw caution to the wind and you press on. Look, if you want an easier time with the campaign, you do have the option to turn on the training mode in the options menu, which makes the game a bit easier while still being somewhat difficult. Or, if the campaign isn't to your taste, or you want to relive the glory days of Mud and Blood 2, you also have the option of going and playing the classic game mode. The classic mode is almost a one-for-one recreation of Mud and Blood 2. However, the map is from left to right instead of up and down, and the map is much longer. In conclusion, this game is very hard, it will take you a very long time to beat, and you will on more than one occasion question why you ever even bought it. For those of you who like a challenge or find that how difficult a game is how fun it is, I would recommend giving Mud and Blood a try on Steam. I want to give a big thank you to all the people who watched to the end of the video. Like and subscribe if you enjoyed the content, and I hope to see you back here another time.